Hey everyone, Tim here in the Gamiviti garage. Today we're installing a roof rack on an FJ60. So it should be a pretty good time, and we'll cover some things that apply to the 80 series, 40 series, 70s, basically all of the rain gutter rack family. We'll kind of have some play here, so stick around. Should go pretty quick, but it's gonna look good when we're done. So thanks for staying with us. Just want to break down the tower pieces real quick as we get going here. This is the main part. We call this the tower body. This is going to go inside the rain gutter right here. This is the clamp. Slides up in there. You attach that with a washer nut, and then we have the riser. Now standard 60 rack running Expo up, we're going to use these 30-60 risers. So 30-degree angle, 60-degree angle. It's going to go a little higher, maybe a little higher in front, like an 80 series with a light bar. We'll switch to a 45-degree riser in front. And then of course, FJ40s, high roof, 60 series, they're going to get the extended height risers where we're going to put those bolts through here. So just show you the comparison of all of the tower risers there. So hopefully you received what you wanted. It's one of the reasons we talk about this before it ships. So any questions about that, of course, let me know. Next thing I'll do is I'll assemble all the bodies to the risers. Pretty simple how to do that. You take a washer bolt, get it started from this side, and then you'll notice that that clearance is pretty tight. That powder coat makes it a little tighter, but if you take it into your Allen wrench, you can run those bolts right down through those holes, and they should fit nice and good down there. So about that. So run this second one through, and then we'll take the riser, put it right on top of those bolts like that. Another couple of washers, like so. A couple of lock washers, like so. A couple of nuts. Run that down, boom, like that. Right down. And just finger tight is good for now. You kind of snug them up, but we don't have to kill it. You know, we're going to need a little bit of adjustment because the roof is going to vary as it goes across. So just get them all set up like this, and you're on to the next step. Okay, I've got all 8 of my bodies and risers assembled. You may have 6, you got a 40, you might have 7. In any case, they're all done. Next thing I'm going to do is apply a little protection to these, so to protect the paint. If you got a trail truck, you don't care, you can fast forward over this part. Rest of you, if you want to protect against scratches, here's what I like to do. This is a piece of rubber tubing. This is a retired piece of radiator overflow hose. I just pulled it off the radiator, put a new piece on. I also have some clear PVC tubing. Get this at the hardware store. They both work. Rubber works a little bit better, but what I'm going to do is I will cut a piece that is the width of that tower body base. So it's about 3 inches long, 3.5 inches long. Take my utility knife and slit this lengthwise. Being really careful to not slit my thumb. Ask me how I know that one. But you slit it down nice and straight. And now I've created a little sleeve that will slide over the base of that tower. So that's what's gonna go in my rain gutter. Nice and soft. Nothing's gonna scratch. You don't want metal on metal if you want to protect the paint. So there you go. Next thing I'll do is I'll set my fairing up. Got my little plastic clips, the rubber dots. I'll go ahead and bolt that up and bolt it to the rack. I got the rack down here set on buckets. The reason for that, it's a little easier to manipulate these clips when the rack's on the ground. And if you're running Expo up, you can go ahead and leave it there. If you're running Expo down, you want to take it off before you lift it up onto the truck. But anyway, next step for me, I always do the fairing. I'll get another video on that one, so I won't bore you with that, but when you see this again, it'll have fairing on. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is put towers on the truck, and we're only gonna do the 4 corners. So on this one, just the front plates. If you're doing a 40, it's just 3. You're gonna do the center one in the back and the front. We'll put the middle ones on later. That'll save you a lot of time and headache. Another thing you can do is do a quick measurement. Center slot, the center slot is about 63. Just remember that number. You can kind of match that when you go to the truck. It'll save you a little bit more time wiggling those things back and forth. So easy stuff. So when we're putting this on here, The back one kind of goes right above the back edge of the window. Just lay it up there, and then you can slide that clamp up through it, through the hole on the top. And then you're going to put your washer, and then your lock washer, and then your nut on top of the shaft. And again, just finger tight is fine. It just needs to hold itself up. We'll do the fine adjustments later. So just do all 4 corners. Okay, we got our 4 towers on, and then I put a moving blanket on top of the truck. If you don't have a blanket, you can use the foam that your rack was packed with. Something to protect the roof, because the rack may actually touch the roof. That's okay. Well, you just need a buddy to help you lift the thing up and bring it over the top, and then set it right down on those towers. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to take a bolt and a washer, no nuts for now, and put that through each one of these plates through the towers. We're going to decide kind of the location of this. So we're just going to put 2 bolts through every one of these plates, connect it to the towers, make sure they're the same both sides. Show you what that looks like. So now I have 2 bolts going through every plate, and I also added washers, lock washers and nuts under each one. Sorry if that was too crazy. Everything's just finger tight for now. The point is, it's all very symmetrical. So middle slots here, inside middle, middle slots there, inside middle, etc. You want them all to be the same, just finger tight. Your next step then is just verifying position front to back. Your constraint on the wagons is always in the back. Is that on the 60s there's no fairing there, so not much to worry about. On the 80s there's sometimes that black plastic thing. Certainly on the 100s, 200s, there's going to be that big fin, so that's going to dictate. But if in the absence of that, I usually like to have this bar right over the rain gutter or just a little bit further forward of it. I think it looks pretty good on the truck, but at this point it's just your preference. So you wiggle that around by loosening these just with your fingers, and then slowly just kind of shifting it by hand. Again, you only have the 4 towers, so it should be pretty easy to do. So final adjustment complete. Pretty happy with where that is. I'm going to go ahead and add the middle towers now. Remember, everything is still just finger tight at this point. On most trucks, your gap here in the middle is actually smaller than the gap in the front or the back. So at the lowest setting, these middle towers are going to set the height. Those back ones need to be able to move up. So that's why we leave everything kind of loose until we get everything kind of finger tight and bolted together. So next step, I'm going to add all 4 of these middle towers. Okay, so I have all of my hardware now in the rack, all finger tight. Everything is the same, left side, right side, nice and symmetrical. Rack's where I want it. Now it's time to tighten things up. I'm going to tighten these guys first. Suck that tower riser up tight to the rack. Then we're going to tighten the clamp. Second, pull that tower body down tight to the rain gutter. Then we're going to tighten these 2 middle ones to hold the 2 pieces together. When we do that, all of these towers are at the same plane. They're all working together. You don't have one of them trying to fight the other one, saying you go higher, you go lower. You want them all nice and uniform. You have nice mechanical sympathy that way. I think it's going to perform really well for a long time. So okay, take the towel off, snap the fairing back on. We're good to go. It's always fun to give her one of these. Make sure it feels good. You can also say that's not going anywhere. It's a proven method these days. And that's it. A couple questions I want to answer as long as I got you here. One is how high, how low is the rack? And that answer, top of the rack to that rain gutter, 5.5 inches. Maybe at the ends, closer to 6. So somewhere between 5.5 and 6 inches. You can measure your own. Expo bar, and this is the short expo, right around 8 inches. So you park in your garage opening and you've got 8 inches, you can fit that expo up rack. How low is it? Let me show you. Here we are on top of the truck, and can't really measure that, but that right in the center, it's about 5/8 of an inch, half inch. Like my hand will fit. This bar will if I stand up here, it'll deflect down a tiny bit, but you wouldn't want it rack too much lower than this. You'll never get your U-bolts under it. You'll never bolt up your tent, etc., etc. So it's pretty darn low with the 30-60 towers. 45-degree towers, you could add about 3/4 of an inch to that. So there you go. And then go out to your photo spot, send me a picture. So thanks again, everybody. It's fun to do these, so let me know what else you would like to see, and I'll see you on the next one.